Welcome back to another episode of EDPS Talks, where together with our guests, we explore their unique perspectives on data protection and privacy and how these will shape their respective fields. Our special speaker for today is Ségolène Martin. She is the co-founder of Kantify, a startup with a mission to improve human health thanks to artificial intelligence. Her team has recently unveiled its new technology, Sapian, a cutting-edge small molecule discovery platform powered by AI. Ségolène's leadership has not only driven innovation at Kantify, but also within the global AI community. She is recognized as AI Personality of the Year 2019 and a leading woman in tech. Her accolades include the Inspiring 50 Award. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Ségolène Martin. We are thrilled to have you with us today, Ms. Martin. Welcome to EDPS Talks.
Thank you. Thank you for your invitation.
So we usually start the interview with a question that is a little bit personal. So, what does privacy mean to you, and how do you employ it to your everyday life?
So, as a person active in AI and IT in general, I think I'm in the group of people who are a bit aware about privacy and online privacy. So, I think I actively take some measures to avoid that I share my personal data without any control. And this includes a lot of types of data, from my personal data to the personal data of my kids, for example. So I'm quite careful about that. And I think it's very healthy because we are in the field of health today.
Thank you. It's always good to portray data protection and privacy in our everyday life as healthy. So you're an entrepreneur in the health industry. You employ artificial intelligence, so-called Sapian, to improve drug discovery in healthcare. And how and why is data important to you?
So for us, data is everything. As your listeners probably know, in order to develop an AI model, you need, of course, a lot of technology expertise. But before that, before setting up and developing an algorithm, you need to secure as well the availability of data to train your algorithm, your model. And so without qualitative data in sufficient quantity, I would say we wouldn't be able to discover drugs. So data for a company like us and for the patients we are working for, in a way, is everything. It's really important.
I understand. Can you give us maybe examples of personal data that you need to process in your algorithm and how they can affect the outcome?
Yes. So we have the chance not to process personal data, at least in the kind of technology we are developing right now on a small molecule and target discovery. However, it has in the past we've had some experience in doing that. And it's really important for certain applications. For example, we used to perform personal diagnosis and develop models to perform personal diagnosis in the field of cardiology. And what I've learned is that it's extremely valuable in terms of data, because you can do, for example, in the field of diagnosis, a lot of things. However, it's also very challenging because there are a lot of regulatory constraints attached to personal data use and protection. And for a company like us, it has been, and I see in the general digital health space, it's a significant challenge to deal with, as well as a significant like a source of value to perform better diagnosis, but not only, because one thing we could do at some point in time in our company with data is personal data is perform personal diagnosis. and this would be extremely valuable. So far, we are not there yet, but it's a logic trend and a logic direction for in the field of drug discovery, for example.
This is very interesting, actually. In your case, in Sapian, can you give us examples of what you can achieve as an outcome with processing data? The
Yes.
anonymized one.
Yes, I think it's really important indeed to be able to help people to understand the kind of help in a way that data can generate in a very simplistic way of saying it. In our case, we use data, for example, about drug discovery research in science. To train a model, train an algorithm, and several algorithms actually, to find the right treatment for a certain disease for which there is no cure. So without data, we wouldn't be able to do that. And thanks to data, we are able to tell a model, tell an algorithm, this is relevant data for you to process, and with the objective of identifying proteins, for example, in the body that a molecule, a drug, has to target in order to treat a patient, treat a certain condition for which there is no cure. So it's not like it's very complicated, of course, what we do. So I gave you like a very simple overview. Um, However, I think it's really important, as I was saying, to say to for people to understand what can data is, even if it's not personal data, what can data enable us to do now, and the formidable acceleration that we see thanks to artificial intelligence for the use of data in the healthcare industry, because this is what we are discussing today.
Wow. Really a beneficial use of data and all the technologies that we have in hand. So we already touched a little bit upon that. Accessing personal data to develop and train an algorithm can be a challenging task. Which are the tensions you see in terms of availability and use of data in this context, and how can we overcome them?
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thanks a lot for this question. I think we are at a really interesting point of the history of technology and medicine in a way, because on the one hand, we have a lot of data and more data that is available in the medical field. From hospitals, from patients themselves through devices, from scientific research. So there is a lot of data that is produced, and the medical field is one of the fields that is the most producing the highest volumes of data. And this data can be used for the good, to create good. And what I mean by good is to have better prevention of diseases, better treatment of diseases, and better diagnosis of diseases. So there is a lot to be done to help people to have a better life, in a way, better quality of life, and to live longer and better. However, there is a tension with the growing awareness, which is totally understandable, and which I have myself as a citizen, that personal data as a personal value is sensitive, and you don't want anyone to use it. And there is, of course, regulatory context and regulatory constraints that doesn't enable technology makers such as us, or any company, or the software developer or device manufacturer, to do what they want with data. You have to follow certain rules, and it's totally normal. So it's a tension in the way that for the moment there is data that is produced, but on the other hand, it's not always easy, to use it. And there are some initiatives, for example, at European level, in terms of the European health data space, that have that are being set up, but it takes a lot of time. And time can help. If we would shorten this time, we would be able faster to develop applications, to develop better ways to diagnose diseases, for example, or find drugs in our case. So, or find not toxic drugs, for example. So it's really important to be aware of these tensions, and then the question is, how can it be resolved? I think this is really a good question, is to put everyone around the table and find the best low hanging fruit, I would say, to both have access to qualitative data for the ones who can use this data, um, but also on the regulatory side to make this use as easy as possible, and put in place the regulatory context, a regulatory framework that enables the ones who can to make use of the data, and but while preserving patient and citizen privacy. Of course, it's not easy. I'm totally aware it's not easy, but it's more than ever important, because it's not only like nice technology; it's also patient value, citizen value. So this is for me a topic that should be super high on the agenda of the next commission, because it's extremely important.
Thank you for your views on this topic. So now we take a step back and we go again to focus on the technology that you use. We have seen in different use cases that AI algorithms could result in discriminations. For instance, we have seen that in facial recognition algorithms, the recognition could be less accurate for specific ethnicities, or the algorithm could be gender biased. Would you see any risks of bias in algorithms specialized in the medical sector, and how can we overcome them?
So yes, bias is a big topic. I think yes, there are several dimensions in this topic, and it's this challenge. First of all, it's not only a algorithm that can perform bias, it's also, for example, in the medical practice, medical doctor, because we are all biased humans. I think it's important to acknowledge this. But of course, AI model, as everyone know by now, learn from data, and if data is if there is certain, for example, ethnicity or gender or age that is more represented in a data set, the model can be biased towards certain decision or certain group. So it's a very important and a key challenge to overcome. There are measures to ensure that there is no bias in models in terms of the data set you use, ensuring that it's well balanced, and so on. So there are plenty of, I would say, technical measures to be implemented, and qualitative measures when you develop an AI model based on certain data, so you avoid bias. So it's really important, and I think that in order for AI to be well accepted in the medical field, this is some challenge that has to be actively avoided, and I think this is the direction in which regulation is going anyway. So there is a risk, there is awareness, and I think that for AI developers or AI solutions makers, in order to succeed in the future, this is something you have to be aware of, and actively fight in a way in your solution development. so this is what I would say. But we have seen like a lot of progress in terms of awareness already of this notion of bias, including in the medical sector, and I tend to hope that we are going in the right direction because of all the measures that are put into place to avoid this.
Interesting to hear. Again, on AI, there's a big discussion on AI explainability and a debate whether this can be effective in preventing risks such as discrimination, such as being subject to automated decisions and other risks. How do you approach the notion of explainability, and do you see any challenges that we should take into account when asking for it?
Yes. So AI explainability is a challenge. It's a technical challenge, and of course, in regulation, it's also like becoming like a super important notion that we see is rising and being asked to AI developers to say, okay, how do you are your models explainable? And when you develop a black box, which is the case of many of us, the notion of black box can be scary actually, because you don't always understand. So what is important to know is that there are some technical approaches to enabling that AI models are explainable. So this is a priority, not a priority, but an element in AI research, I would say, that has been actually researched and developed. So there are some more and more tools to enable that AI models are explainable. On the other side, I think that even if not all AI models are explainable, it doesn't mean that they are bad. And that the black box is dangerous. And I would, for example, if a model is able to help you discover a treatment, and you're not able to explain all the decision making of the model behind, I'm like simplifying a little bit here. I think that you shouldn't forget that there is value that is created in terms of patient value, in terms of you have still something that is extremely valuable. So what I mean here is that, yes, explainability is important, but it's not because not all models are explainable that they don't have any contribution or any value. So this is important to find the right balance, I would say. And again, in a field where you are a patient and you want a good diagnosis, you're a patient or you want a good treatment, what is more important for you is to have a good treatment, or to know exactly how a model has been making this recommendation or this prediction. So it's important. Again, I would say I wouldn't say it's a tension, but I think that yeah, explainability can have a different meanings depending on who you ask to.
Thank you. Indeed, this aspect of context and the aspect of making it meaningful for the value of protecting. This is an important element that we need also to remember. So always looking for the right balance and always looking for, if I might also add, to have meaningful interventions, as regards to explainability. It's not just, taking one solution, saying, okay, in general, this is what the algorithm does, and we solved it. We put a human in the loop, and it's okay. Thanks for this for this aspect as well that we need to add to our agenda.
No, what is funny in our case on the discussion of explainability is that because of the AI model we have developed, we managed to explain mechanisms in the body that are not understood so far. So the body is you can see it's a biological black box because there are some elements of biology that have been discovered, but there is still a part of mystery. For example, in terms of many elements related to biology, and for example, what are the proteins in the body, and what are the how a drug interacts with the different proteins in the body. So there is a lot that is not known. And because of our AI model, we managed to explain this. And this is another way to frame explainability. AI can help also explain some processes that so far are not understood. So just a little parenthesis on the fact that even if AI is complicated, models can be very complex and have to be understood. They can also, on the other hand, help explain some mechanisms, in our case, biological mechanisms that for the moment are not understood. So it's another way of seeing it.
Thank you very much. So, going towards the end of our interview, recently there's a trend of involving technology in all aspects of our life. And some say we may have an AI doctor in our future lives. Let's try to make a foresight exercise. How do you expect AI to shape our health life in 20 years? And will there be an interplay? And what will it be, the interplay with privacy rights in that time?
Yes. So I'm a techno optimist. So if you ask me, will there be like an important role of AI in health life in 20 years? Of course, because I see the tremendous value. I will say yes. Some people still doubt about it, but when you see all you can do with artificial intelligence in health, you can't imagine that in 20 years, and I think it's the right horizon because things take time. AI will not be embedded in our daily health life. So I think it will. How it will be? I think that we see now already that AI can work well. It's not a perfect crystal ball. It's not. There is still a lot to do to improve how it's working and how it's embedded in our daily life or daily operations of a hospital and doctors. So far, it's still like at its infancy. So in 20 years, it will be a beautiful, like a dynamic. It's not a youngster, but a young professional, I would say, in 20 years. But so the way AI can help us keep and maintain good health is through better prevention of diseases, uh, better diagnosis of diseases. We all have examples of bad diagnosis because of rare diseases. In my case, for example, or any like doctors that miss some important or some diagnosis. It happened it happened to many people. It's something that exists. So having some help in a diagnosis and some help in the treatment, so through better and personalized treatments. Does it mean that AI will replace doctors? No, of course. Doctors have a big role to play, and their role probably, if AI is well embedded, will evolve in some specific directions in terms of the maybe having more time for patients, for patient contact, and maybe some difficult cases for which human intervention is important and is needed, and so on. Um, so doctors and AI will all be there in 20 years, I hope. And I hope that technology will help us live better and longer. And what I see now, it's technology, but in the technology way, it's possible. Technically, it's possible, but there are some steps to be taken. So indeed, it's easier for the ones who develop applications to access data. Because there is still a lot of data that is not available for different reasons, technical reasons, regulatory reasons, quality, and so on. So data has to be available, but also, of course, privacy of data and regulatory regulation has to enable this and at the same time protect citizens' right. So this will be some. We have, at least in Europe. I don't know, but the rest of the of the world, because this is not something that I actively monitor right now, but we have a lot of regulation and a lot of initiatives towards both data availability and also data protection. So that is good. Let's hope that they will both evolve together, hand by hand. So value is created both for citizen health and citizens' privacy. It's not easy, but it's a challenge that is important enough to be met, because yes, there is fantastic use of artificial intelligence to in the medical field. If there is one field where there is value, if there is benefit for patients, for citizens, it's really the healthcare sector. I'm convinced about it. I see it every day, and there are a lot of people and doctors and researchers and entrepreneurs that want to make it possible, in the European Union. Because we see the population is aging, because there are some challenges such as cancer that is rising, and so on, that we have to meet. So people are here, data is here, regulation is also here. Let's ensure that we make it happen. So we have a healthy European Union that with healthy citizens in 20 years and beyond our borders, of course.
What a nice wish for the future, to actually develop technology to have a better life, better health, and at the same time to be able to protect all the rights of the citizens. I keep that to that. I keep to that, and this brings us to the end of today's episode. We have discussed various perspectives on data privacy topics. We shed light on how to process personal data in order to train algorithms and get useful outcomes, this time in the medical sector. We discussed the challenges in terms of availability of data, and the fact that all shareholders all stakeholders need to discuss together to find the balance and the right framework to be able to access and share data. We touched upon bias and the fact that it's also a human aspect that is transferred to technology, and we need to be not only raising awareness on doctors, but also develop the right data sets that are balanced. We discussed explainability of algorithms, and we did also a little bit of a wishful foresight exercise to see how the medical sector will be in 20 years. I believe next 20 years will be interesting, both for technology, for privacy, and also for the medical sector. Miss Martin, it was an honor having you. Thank you for
Thank you so
being
much.
with us today.
Thank you.
And for our audience, we're happy to bring you a fresh perspective on privacy and data protection from a variety of fields. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to catch up on previous interviews like the one with Max Schrems or Dr. Musilova from NASA. And follow the DPS on our channels to discover more about our projects marking the 20th anniversary of the European Data Protection Supervisor. I'm Kostadina Vemu. This was the DPS talk with Ségolène Martin, a co-founder of Kantify, a pioneer in AI-driven health solutions.